boy Bleed. Everybody listen up. Let's get it. I'm trying to put money in your pocket. That crypto wallet. That bing bada bing ching ching big profit. Even when the market sideways, I'm looking for ways to get paid. I'm checking my coins around breakfast, then again around bedtime. Bet this, it's not financial advice, but I'm always right. 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 I'm always right.
What is going on, true believers? I hope you're having a good morning. My name is Bleez. We're here to talk about this crazy crypto world. If anybody who is a mod happens to be in here right now, I've been deleting the Sonade 27K comments. Maybe I can finish that up. I would certainly appreciate that. That is a little bit. I don't know what to do about some of those comments. Like, I keep putting them into spam filters, but there's only so much you can do before, they just come up with a different crypto every couple of days, and I've banned at this point. By the way, make sure you hit the like button on the way in. I'm going to tell you the cryptos that I keep banning here are XAI 514K, XAI 71Z, SONE 70K, SONE 27K, Veronum, XAI 23JA, XAI 4114K, XAI 514K, XAI 6117K, XAI 71Z. So they just keep coming with something different every single time. It is wild. What is going on, Saqib? Hope you're having a good day. So let's talk about what's going on now. The first thing, I'm not partnered with these guys. I've never done a video for them. I'm not going to start today, but 5 minutes ago, I guess it's 10 minutes ago now, this happened. So this is Peanut Dog. For those of you that don't know, about 2 weeks ago, I bought a bag of Peanut Dog, kind of caught the bottom of it. They were looking to make a move. Now, this is an homage to Peanut the Squirrel. Peanut the Squirrel was the squirrel in New York that was taken by the government and basically murdered under the guise that it could be rabbit or something like that. Now, there was a lot that went into this, and the owner of Peanut has filed a federal lawsuit seeking damages and invasion of privacy. Like, there's a lot of stuff that they got going on, but the important point to that, in so much as there might be an important part to it, is that for crypto purposes, they've kind of pivoted to the Peanut Dog. And once they went to the Peanut Dog, the owner of Peanut came into this chat, started to talk about it, and now they have a plan going forward to start a pump. So they just bought a boost pack for Peanut Dog that's going to do 10x boost. That's going to be active for 12 hours. That is... I think that the purpose behind that is to pump the bag. Now, what has it done so far? Well, so far it's up about 100% on the day to 4052.80, and you can just, you can see here that there was quite a bit of recovery over the last 24 hours. Now, the question would be, can they keep this going for today, and will they run it up to, say, 1 million market cap, which is about a 20x from where it is right now? There's a sufficient amount of liquidity. There's an opportunity, and I'm not saying that it's going to run. I'm not giving you that at all, but I'm going to put this in here. You guys can do your own research on this and try to figure it out. It is a CTO. I don't know that it's going to go to an all-time high. I don't have a partnership with them for any purpose. So I'm just giving this to you because I happen to have a bag, and I got a feeling that there's a lot of different people here. They might be breaking this one out because it's Solana, because, Solana meme coins might get an opportunity to sort of run today. No guarantees. no guarantees. You could get wrecked on this one. I mean, you're not going to put more than $50 in at 5,000 market or 50,000 market cap, though, right? So I don't think it's going to go. I think that you'll see, by the way, that there seems to be a lot of activity on here for the last few minutes. Like it's been kind of pumping around. There's profit taking and trading along the way. Maybe something will happen. So check out Peanut the dog, if you will. And let's get into the news. So number one, Trump signs a resolution to repeal the controversial IRS crypto rule finalized under Biden. Now, this was the first actual piece of legislation that was signed by the president of the United States that is pro crypto. And this, the DeFi, what this was signed a resolution. The rules set requirements for custodial bankers around collecting and reporting user data to the IRS. Now, that was wild. Remember, we hired 80,000 new IRS agents. There was a lot going into this. It was not a great look for the Biden administration, in my opinion. This could be the start of a little bit of a reversal and us clawing back a little bit of privacy in crypto. So Kathleen, good morning. Get out of here. Coins Chicks in the house. Good morning. Jordan's Tool Belt is here. Good morning. So I do think that this is significant because it is, look, the IRS, what they were trying to do is control, and that's what it comes down to. Now, is it for your benefit? Is it for your own good? I mean, that's what you would look at when somebody says something about stuff like this. The idea is not that they're just trying to control you. Not really. The idea is they want to protect you from people like Ghostface Killah or Sahir. Sahir, what's his name? Sahir? I think his name was Sahir or Sahil. The guy that was scamming people with celebrity meme coins for a long time. The idea is to protect you from stuff like that, but also make sure, wink, wink, that the government gets their cut of any kind of profit you make. And Donald Trump is repealing that, which is a fantastic thing because, until I cash out, it's not a taxable instance. You know what I mean? So this was a wild thing. It was misguided, in my opinion, and it's dead now. Next up, China just made an announcement. We don't need you. We never did in the last 70 years. So this is what's going on. Chinese President Xi Jinping says that China is not dependent on the United States. Says for over 70 years, China's development has relied on self-reliance and hard work, never on handouts from others. It is not afraid of any unjust suppression. The comment came just minutes before China's Customs Authority announced that the Ministry of Finance had raised tariff on American goods to 125% in a tariff war with President Trump's 145% tax on Chinese imports. Owing to how dependent the Chinese market is on exports, Xi may have a case to argue only if he convinces other nations to take up the amount of goods it has exported to the U.S. market annually. That's easier said than done, but Xi is not one to back down. China posted a 10% year-over-year export surge in December of 2024, buoyed by exporters front-loading shipments ahead of the Lunar New Year and the worry of more trade restrictions. China's trade surplus widened to $104 billion for the month, including $33 billion surplus with the United States. Now, that's $33 billion in imports coming from China. So those are going to get prohibitively more expensive. Now, it is American companies that pay for that. But that's not the point. The point is the Trump administration wants you to buy American, or they want you to buy with reciprocal partners in the U.S. economy and not China, because China is the enemy, no matter what. Do they provide us with cheap goods and services? Yes. But that comes at a cost. There is a globalization that has been happening over a good period of time. And I'm going to show you, by the way, if I kept it. I don't know if I kept it or not, but there is a very important, I may not have kept it, but Shamath, the investor, made a really good point on the Laura Ingraham show last night when he was talking about, what is going on in the world and why is it that we're doing some of the things that we're doing. And he had a really brilliant take on it. And, as a matter of fact, let's do this. Laura Ingraham. I think she shared it, which is why I wanted to bring it to you. Here we go. America's the market that matters. That's not the... So she's clipping it for a lot of different quotes. But there is that's why Trump is leveraged and they know it. Let's do this. Chamath. Okay, here we go. This is kind of a breakdown of exactly what happened. This is what he said in this interview. I think this is kind of important. He said that, and this is when referring to, by the way, this was one of the Democrats' top donors at one point. Okay. And here's what he said. And he's talking about big business right now. Okay. These are the giant corporations that basically control everything. They've deeply benefited from a 20-year regime of taking jobs and moving them anywhere in the world that allowed you to optimize your profit. Now let's go back to that. The corporations and the companies for the last 20 years have taken jobs from America and moved them around the world so that they can continue to optimize their profit. That system made Wall Street and multinational corporations wildly wealthy. They shipped out American jobs, gutted the middle class, and got rewarded. It benefited from an economic regime of low volatility where you could keep interest rates effectively at zero for quasi forever. But then Trump happened and their grip on policy began to slip. He explained that the elites had grown accustomed to scaring presidents into compliance, but not this one. Now, how are they doing that? Well, they dump in the market, right? So what they see is an inability to create and scaremonger the White House into economic policy. This is very troublesome for them because they have been able to control from Wall Street or from London or from these other places how governments behave. What you see right now is them violently trying to push back and trying to create a narrative. Now, what does that narrative look like? Well, the narrative looks like the market. And what does the market look like? Down, 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 down. They do not like what Trump is doing at this point because what they're doing is they're cutting into that bottom line. What does that mean? Well, if you look at it from a simple context, what it means is they're going to say, and here's what you're going to hear over the next little while. The next step after bullying doesn't work is pity party. So what you'll see coming up very, very soon is a move by all of these institutions and stuff like that to change the narrative. And the narrative is going to say that what they're doing is they're bleeding dry your 401ks. What the Trump administration is doing is he is sucking the wealth out of the middle class and giving it to the elites. And who's going to tell you that? The elites. The elites are going to tell you that you're in trouble because the elites are taking from you. That's the next narrative. Trust me, you're going to see that in the next, I want to say in the next week, that's going to become all the rage. That's what we're going to talk about. So watch for that to happen in short order. So China doing their thing, buying it. Oh, by the way, we got Crypto Che. We got a celebrity in the house, Crypto Che. And let me show you guys what I did yesterday. Yesterday, I got my laundry done. I take it to a place and made a new fan. Made a new fan of. Oh, that was me when I stole a baby. So stole a baby from a hospital, raised it for my own. Brand new Volt Inu official fan. I have a couple of those old Volted Believer hats from the old days, and I keep them in the back of my car, and I give them out every once in a while. I don't talk about it anymore, but I give them out to people when I see them, especially kids and stuff like that. So we have a new Volted Believer, and he was at this is the child, I want to say, of the young lady that works at the laundry that I take my clothes to. So I think that was her. I think that's her son. Either that or she stole baby also, like I did. So anyway, he's now a Volted fan. So shout out to the Volt Army. You got a new one, and this kid is going to remember that, I think, for a while. Now, let's keep going here because there's a lot more that's going on. Next up, Binance has added Ondo to its trading platform, and Ondo is currently experiencing a tiny bit of a surge, not exponential, it's not exploding. It just came up to its resistance right there, and it rejected. Like to see it pump past that. You can see this right here. A couple of hours ago, it kind of broke out a little bit, and it's stair stepping. I mean, that's what we want to see, right? That's the stair stepping that we're comfortable with. So the next couple of hours should be a test on whether or not this causes a continuation of the pump to get back to some of this value. I bought some Ondo in the last couple of days, not in anticipation of this. This was just kind of incidental to that. But I bought myself a bunch of Ondo because I thought maybe, just maybe, something could happen. And I thought, maybe I can get a nice 10, 20, 30% gain off of it. And if I do that, then that's going to allow me to funnel that back into some other projects if there is some profit in it. So, and by the way, my goal right there would be, 1,000 Ondo goes up 20%. I would take out the 1,000, and then I would have $200, $300 worth of Ondo. Like I don't need a whole lot. It's already got a pretty significant market cap right now. When I look at it, and the question is, how high can it go? And it could go wild, but it's already at 2.8 billion. I'm trying to stay away from billion-dollar projects, except for the opportunity to flip them and turn them into something more. So, that's not my, as a matter of fact, I set, just so everybody understands, I set take profits on, as a matter of fact, I set sell orders on everything that I have on centralized exchanges at a certain point. And it's all in KCEX, and it's all in weeks. But I set sell orders for when they pump. And I thought that Ondo, for full disclosure, I thought that Ondo's place to maybe kind of rip here would be up into this. If it really gets a nice little run here, I set it right there at, I think I set $1.28. But as you can see right here from this little region, it'll be a ray off of that line. You can see how much volume there is, right there in that range. If I used, nope, I took the VRVP off of here. But if I left it on there, you would see that this is a volume range right here. So I think this is going to run back up to that. So I set a full take profit at $1.28 right there. And it's going to sell my original bag. So whatever original amount. So I'm going to sell $1,000 at $1.28, and then that will, whatever I have left over after that, that's what my bag's going to be going forward. But then I'll have that $1,000 back in order to put it into something else for another surge. I did the same thing with Jupiter, which I was less aggressive with Jupiter. I did the same thing with HBAR. I did the same thing with everything. I even did the same thing with the Weeks token, thinking that the Weeks token might actually 2x or 3x soon. I took the 2x as the risk, and then I'll decide what I want to do with that money after we achieve those goals. So just trying to move with the markets, if you will. So everything is set for mostly Ondo. I'm keeping the bag. Everything else I'm kind of holding on to, or I'm selling off completely, and then I'll rebuy in on any dips or at any opportunity where I see for an entry position. So that's the strategy right now for both of the platforms. Anyway, back to it. Ondo being listed right now. Let's go over here. There's something else that just happened. I'm not sure whether this is going to be valuable or not, but it seems like it. And CoinMarketCap has reached out to me for a partnership. By the way, let me show you. Let me show you what happened. Because I just reached out to them, and here's my community page. My account was suspended. I don't even know why, and neither do they. They have no idea. They have no idea why. But I'm going to partner with CoinMarketCap. I might have to create a new login or something. I don't know. But they reached out to me, so we're going to talk about some of this stuff with over 13.8 million tokens. And by the way, do you use CoinMarketCap every day? If you do, leave a comment down below. Also, if you are part of Terra Casino, terracasino.io, and you are using it right now, today is going to be your last day for the competition. I'm giving away $200 on Terra Casino. Put your @ down in the description below after this video is over, and it might be able to win yourself a little bit of money, 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 money. You know what I mean? So, hey, Blues Crypto, Ventrex added both Lunk Pump Fun platforms and tokens. Good day. All right. So that's going to be some exposure to the Luna Classic community. By the way, Luna Classic community has not engaged with me a lot in the last little while. I do want full disclosure here for you guys who are Lunk holders. I'm still producing content. I do have a partnership that I'm about to announce, and that will last maybe for 30 days. After that 30 days, if there's not more enthusiasm for Luna Classic, I might have to pivot on and start covering some different stuff. I realized the other day I've done 568 Luna Classic videos, and I do one per day. So I've been doing this for almost or getting close to 2 years, virtually. Well, 2 years because, take the weekends out, I guess. I should have said that. You take 104 days off. It's 52 weeks, 2 days, 104. That means 261 days. So I've done over 2 years worth of Luna Classic videos. And if it's generating revenue, good. That's fine. If I get 10,000 views a day, but I'm not getting 10,000 views a day. As a matter of fact, I'll show you guys exactly what I'm getting on Terra Luna Classic videos, and I don't like it. So here we go. Yesterday's got 800. This one got 1,000. Now, part of it could have to do with the fact that I'm kind of going after Happy Caddy Crypto because he's pulling some bullshit and scam. I'm not really a fan there. But 890 day before, 1,225 day before. I said lunk to $1. I did that. That's the update on $1, and that got 1,879 views, 1,185, 1,729. You go back here. It's been a while since I've gotten over 2,000. 2,000 is not even good. That should be in the 4,000 or 5,000 range. But it's a testament that the community is starting to decline a little bit. There's just there's apathy, and I don't want to because I'm comfortable in the community. But I mean, going back here, February we had 5,000 views on this one. We had 3,000 views on this one. It doesn't sustain. Could be me. I could be the problem. Maybe just what I'm saying isn't resonating with a person or some people or something like that. I think more of it is just kind of apathy about crypto in general. And I know that it will pick up. But in the meantime, there's some bigger communities out there. And if I want to grow my channel, then I can't do this. Now, it can also be maybe the thumbnail wasn't maybe it was a thumbnail thing. Maybe I needed to change. There's plenty of different things. So again, we got 30 days of kind of feeling this out to see whether or not we continue or not. Anyway, back to this. There's now a new profile score system that helps you evaluate data completeness and freshness. Think of it as a credit score for crypto transparency. So this is what you have, and this is going to explain it. And this is going to be like profile score right here of 100. So let's go look at Bitcoin. And there's a profile score. Profile score is 100 over here. So that's going to be an interesting thing to look at. Solana, what is their profile score? Solana's profile score, 66%. Now the question is, and I don't know, I'm going to read it today. We're not going to do it, but how does this work? Verify and updating token supply information, providing detailed lock schedules, all the information that you could possibly have. So, we look at projects like DevvE. What's the trust score? 69%. Higher trust score than Solana at this point. And that says something. But again, it's based on a lot of these different metrics that they have. And we'll see what happens there. Volume, by the way, on DevvE down 667,000. Used to be well over 1 million. The market. Well, the lead up, by the way, there was that lead up that was a big deal, and that lead up was to Paris blockchain event, and their announcements kind of underwhelmed. It didn't have the resonance that we had hoped for. It didn't have the impact that we had hoped for. Partnering with Delubak is actually financially huge for the DevvE ecosystem, but for the purpose of attracting crypto bros into it, not going to do anything. So it will attract institutional investors. This is not, again, this is going to be DevvE is going to be, I think, the gem of this next bull run, provided that the announcements of these partnerships come. Ray Quintana, who is the CEO, came away from Paris Blockchain very, very excited because he had meetings with banks, a lot of banks. And the reason for that is because banks who normally don't show up at crypto events showed up in force at the Paris Blockchain. So you saw a lot of banks that you would not normally have seen. And I think that's, again, this is, we're just kind of looking at our crystal ball into the future. And that crystal ball says that DevvE is probably going to have a significant run. Just, we haven't experienced it yet because we need that update. So anyway, profile score, you can check the profile score out, like a credit score on each and every cryptocurrency. And if you want to, if anything doesn't make sense, I mean, learn about it, figure it out. Next, Vitalik Buterin is now arguing with people over the Pectra upgrade. And what is the Pectra upgrade? This is where they make some improvements to the Ethereum architecture, and EIP 7702 is the one. Users pointed out that the wallet blocks websites that are not suspicious. However, it still allows delegations for potentially fraudulent contracts to pass through. Now, Vitalik said this: the right way to use 7702 is to delegate exactly one contract that is well reviewed by the wallet team and the Ethereum community, and have that contract implement the remaining logic in a safe way. This introduces a new type of transaction feature, which allows for externally owned accounts to temporarily function as a smart contract account during a single transaction. With the new feature, users can carry out advanced transactions such as gas sponsorships, batch transactions, and custom logic execution without having to convert EOAs into smart contract accounts. Now, gas sponsorships. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means that you could watch 3 or 4 ads in a row and pay your gas fee. That's the idea behind it. So, and you can do that, by the way, right now on some of the tests. So there is a path forward here where there's a method by which they're going to change fundamentally some of the stuff that's happening in crypto. Although the new upgrade aims to simplify account abstraction and create more flexibility for users, many have pointed out how it also introduces potential security risks. For interest, attackers could exploit it by creating contracts that seem safe under normal conditions, but could be hiding security loopholes activated under specific circumstances. Ultimately, users grow wary that they could fall victim to phishing attacks under the new upgrade if the system gets tricked into delegating control to fraudulent contracts. So we'll see whether or not this causes a problem. But the Pectra client upgrade is expected to launch on April 21st. The upgrade would add 7702 to delegated state to JSON Java RPC. So there you have it. We could be seeing some problems. I'm not sure if this is just a narrative that we're getting pushed on, but people are concerned about Ethereum. We'll keep you updated as we get information. XRP, Ripple moves 200 million coins as price support holds at $2. What's happening? So, leading on-chain transaction tracker Whale Alert reported that Ripple shifted 200 million XRP worth around 402 million to an unknown address. The transaction was made from Ripple's wallet, identified by the wallet address 1091M, and was sent to an unknown recipient, SKXV3. Meanwhile, such high-volume transfers typically fuel investor concerns and curiosity. Some speculate Ripple could be preparing for strategic positioning in anticipation of regulatory clarity. Others suggest the transfer might be linked to an OTC trade or internal wallet management, but there's been no official comment right now. Again, we'll watch what happens, and if something happens, we'll let you know. Also, Ripple and the SEC have filed a joint request to suspend appeals to pursue a negotiated resolution. So, two parties have reached an agreement in principle and are waiting for approval from the commission, which needed Paul Atkins to be in place in order to do that. The case, which began in 2020, saw a turning point this year. No, there should be a resolution to this. I'm going to say very, very soon. And by the way, tomorrow at 9 a.m., I'll be releasing a new video. I'll show you what the new video is. I asked Grok, and I'm using some I Asked Grok stuff that I'm doing right now. I asked Grok to predict the XRP bull run top, and it gave me bullish case, bearish case, and just an average sort of number. So I'm not going to spoil it for you. Safe to say Grok is not as bullish as I am on XRP, however. So You'll see that tomorrow at 9 a.m. Also, economic slowdown could delay Bitcoin's bull run, says an analyst, and they're right because it's already done this. And this is Marcus Thielen of 10x Research. He notes that credit spreads are widening, a clear signal that economic anxiety is sinking in. According to him, expecting a bullish impulse is premature in a context where central banks may delay their response and financial conditions still lack the necessary stimulus. Bitcoin is trading around 82, 83,000 and has historically reacted with initial pullbacks during interest rate cuts or significant devaluation. So, and by the way, China is not backing down. And, without China, we do have a problem. So we could see some significant chop. Also, Bitcoin, I said Nitcoin, open interest. Bitcoin open interest just surged up to 34 billion. Okay. This was a lot lower. This was like 27 billion until a few hours ago. So, just to give you guys the information here, something big is happening. I don't know. I have no idea what it is, but when open interest spikes like it just did, that means volatility is coming. I don't know if that means a price pump. I don't know if that means a price dump. We'll try to look at it in just a moment. But let's finish this. U.S. dollar declines to a 3-year low while Bitcoin bounces. Here is the Dixie, 99.82 cents, which means the dollar value has trashed. Now, when that happens, again, over here, September of 2024, what happened to Bitcoin? Where are we at here? This is around September, late September and that was right over here. And by the way, there's not a top, but September right there, that was off of a spike from 52,000 to 66,000. That was reason for a big move when we got a Dixie spike. So the Dixie dumping again down to some lows. If we get that continuation, then that actually that does this right here. This is again, this is that 1 day. This is the global liquidity chart. The global liquidity chart, the DXY, everything is telling everybody that there is something big about to happen, and it's a positive for crypto. That capital flow. Look at the capital flow. Remember, we talked about this the other day, that it had gone down, and remember, it was not as big previously as the last one. I said that it's just a little bit smaller right over here. Boom, 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 boom. Now it is broken out and has matched this run. Now, what did that last run do? That last run took us from 59,000 to 106,000. So this is a 2x right here for Bitcoin. Okay, so that money is going to flow into this market in short order. So we should be looking at that, or looking for that to come very, very soon. US dollar declines. The rest of it, we'll see what happens. All right, now let's get into the important stuff. XCN is up 56% on the day. Curve is up 16%. Caspa about 10%. Core about 11%. Fartcoin continuing to pass gas. 22.6 for the month. Fartcoin 246%. 87% on the week. Big moves. Zcash, which is a privacy coin, 13.6%. Privacy coins having a moment right now. People are getting concerned, I guess, about their data and their privacy. Popcat up 30%. So we're seeing the bigs, the big meme coins. Fartcoin in the billionaire club. Popcat, both Solana based, by the way. So we're seeing, this is Ethereum only 1.8. So it looks like the spike is coming from Solana at this point. Cheems 7.8%. Mu 8.8%. Pretty sure that one's also same thing. Swift coin on the day up 46%. Orca 49%. We're starting to get the breakouts. This is, we want to see a lot of these start to happen. We want to see these kind of big moves. If these continue, great times are ahead for all of us. XYO up 40%. Ergo up 28%. CVX up 16%. Moving down here a little bit further, ZRC, that looks like a Solana cat to me, 37%. Alchemy 22%. Sonic 15%. Spell 16%. Spell is, I'm pretty sure, Solana one. Prompt up 44%. RFC 14.5%. Per is up 6%. Don't see, by the way, I don't know exactly where DevvE falls. DevVE's up 1.9%. It's in the corner over here. So I don't know where all of these are or gonna go. But again, I'm still waiting for one of those big moves to happen. Haven't seen, we haven't had our runners yet. You're getting a little bit here, a little bit there, and that kind of wraps that up. So, fear and greed index currently sitting at 25 right now. This is still accumulation area, by the way. I feel really confident, by the way, that this will be a good accumulation zone still, even after the dump that we had all the way down to that level. There's a long way to go in the fear and greed index before it's sell time. I basically set all my sell orders at around 2x or so or more, thinking that we're going to get a surge up into that range. Not sure exactly. I'm not sure exactly whether or not that's going to play out the way I think. I'm wildly guessing. So, we'll see whether or not we get that move. Anyway, charts, let's talk. Let's look at this one right here. We're going to go. DevvE is now dumping on the day, down 2%, while the rest of the market is the only red in the market today. Speedy's down a little bit. And there's a few here and there, but DevvE's down about 2%. That sounds to me like somebody is dumping on the chart, and that's gonna be. By the way, I don't know who the people are, and just for full disclosure, Dev Rangers. I left the Dev Ranger chat. I was over it. There's a bunch of crybabies that are, and by the way, that's not anything to do with DevvE. That's just that there's a lot of people who are just fucking babies, and they just cry, and they just cry and they just cry, and they're embarrassing, and they're ridiculous, and the only thing you do is point and laugh. But I don't want to point and laugh at these idiots. I mean, because they're I already watched Love on Spectrum. Isn't that enough? Like, am I not already a bad person for that? You know what I mean? So anyway, yeah, a little sell-off happening right now while we're leaning into a pump in the market, which that's not great. That's not optimal. That helps, by the way, with the pairing and stuff like that to keep the price stable. And the market maker, you can see the market makers were selling off for a little while. So most likely we're going to see a pump back up incoming to 73, maybe 74 cents, something like that. Beyond that, I don't know. I'm still waiting for, any kind of announcement that would tell me, something positive, maybe something good could, just waiting for an announcement that will move the chart. In the meantime, I would expect some downside. I don't have any other way to say that. I just, the way I look at this chart, like, it's perfect for a bounce, but we didn't get a bounce. I would have expected a recovery sort of rally. And when you look at it from this context, we're just kind of bouncing and sitting on the 786. That means that there's not a lot of support right now, because that area that we should be at, and we've already gotten, by the way, the move, and I'll give it to you one more time, from the top to the bottom, and then you have a move to the 0.5, and then you have a breakout to 236, which we got, and it even broke above that. But then from that point on, we came down into this. The markets were bad. And we've just been down until we get to the 786. Then we got a bounce off of it, but that bounce only came up into the golden zone, didn't come above. Like the anticipated move would have been to $1.22 or $1.46. We didn't get that, and thus it started to dump a little bit harder. So we're going to get another test, most likely, of 786, and there needs to be a significant breakout. But again, going to take some news that will move a chart, and since we don't have it, then the expected break would be to the downside, and that we test 50 cents most likely, because 50 cents right there is right there. That's the spot, and it's actually 50 cents, but I got it at 48, whatever. Anyway, so I'm going to suspect that there's going to be a breakdown to that level at some point soon. That these sellers are going to step in unless there is some sort of announcement that continues to hold and prop the price up. Now, with that being the case, then we talk about Fiat and what's going on with Fiat. And again, Fiat underperformed drastically at that event. The FOMO buildup right here took it from 3 cents to 4 cents, which is significant. That's a 33% lift, but it wasn't sustained, and we continue to have traders continue to buy and sell off over and over and over again. So Fias until until there's a big announcement. And by the way, if you download Litcraft, there's been some updates on it. There's been some actually big updates on it. So there's some opportunity there for you. And by the way, these ads right here, like yesterday, all of a sudden Next Tools updated, and now it's just covered with ads, and you only get 4 of your coins right here. I'm not really sure. All they did was just throw more ad space and less real estate for you. So just so you guys know, I'm going to be looking at places other than Dex Tools. I've been using Dex Tools, I feel like, now for too long. So we're going to move away from that because they're just doing everything to make it worse on you. And I'm not down with that. That's to me, this is just ridiculous. This is just, I mean, they got to do what they got to do to make money. I understand why, but this just made all of what we're doing here a little more uncomfortable because we can't see what I want to see right there. So, but anyway, back to it. Fias up 4% in the day, despite what I'm talking about. Also, Bitcoin up 3% on the day. Solana trying to break out. You can see Solana really trying to work right now. It's up 6% on the day, just looking for that big move. Volume wise, no reason for that. Volume is 1.8 billion. For Ethereum, it's still 2.7 billion. So the money's coming out of Solana, not into Solana. I don't see any reason for it to continue pumping unless there's some kind of narrative that's going to change stuff. And if there is, it's going to be, Trump does something to stimulate meme coins, and then Solana starts to run because of meme coins. Well, we'll see. I don't see any reason for it to yet, but again, some of these things are just institutional driven. They're not narrative driven, and the narrative gets made up later on. So maybe that's what's going to happen. Ethereum, really just a massive sell down, and then it just didn't recover. With Solana, you look at it and you're already back up to the top of the range. With Ethereum, you're not getting that same sort of robust push to get back into range. So Solana looks like it's going to be the winner over the next little while, unless a significant rally. Again, it's going to take a significant announcement by the government here in the United States saying, hey, we're going to allow staking before we really see a big breakout, I think, from Ethereum. That's just my opinion. I want to be wrong. You know what I mean? And the FOMO build to when you can start doing that, the FOMO build to that would also be good. That would be enough to set it off. But until we get something that sets it off, I mean, here we are. Luna Classic is at 58. It's doing exactly what I told you guys it was going to do. I told you it was going to bounce down to the bottom of the range right there, and it bounced down to the bottom of the range right there. And the next move right now, and it's already happening as we see it. 1, 2, 3 days. 2 of them are pretty positive. So back up to the top of this range right here. So I think Luna Classic is an easy 2 to 3x from here over the next short time frame. I don't feel the same way about USTC. I don't see that breaking out nearly like Lunk is breaking out, so that might be a problem. But there could be 300 or 400 million USTC burned at any moment. When that happens, I think that would cause a significant sort of spike. Don't know whether we'll see that or not. XRP hovering around $2. That breakdown right there has been recovered pretty fully. Been a nice move since then. Alt R. Let's get into the chart here. It's 2 out of 3 good days. But again, you see that weakness right there where Solana broke up to the top of the range and Ethereum did not, and XRP did not. I think the markets are just kind of waiting to see what the Trump administration is going to do before they make any sort of move. API 3 not bouncing. Again, same thing, not showing strength. No one will know, for some reason, is no longer supported here. It's weird, but it's up 10% on the day. Again, I do think that this is going to be a curving move up to the upside right there, 2 or 3x from here. That would be enough for me to say, hey, you know what? I think that's pretty much the move here for no one will know until we see some real utility and stuff kind of break out here. And by the way, it is my estimation. I like what's going on with no one will know. I think as a meme and stuff like that, that's one that could resonate with crypto at some point. But Here's the problem. Problem is that I feel like there's too many people from DevvE that are in this right now. It's almost like it's the unofficial DevvE meme coin, and they're just going to sell off hard to move into DevvE. Like, for example, if DevvE made an announcement, a big announcement today or tomorrow, this thing would tank. You know what I mean? And there's not a lot of liquidity in it, but I would think that they're going to sell off to put their money back in DevvE, and they're going to pump chase. And that's my concern. It's the only real concern that I have with no one will know. So it could be that it ends up being a good one. Also, there's no real updates yet from DevvE. And by the way, I think maybe they're going a little bit quiet for the next day or two because something is in the works. Also, if you have not already, get yourself a bag of CC coin. Again, let me go back to the important part, and the important part is this right here. The first project is about to launch, and it's going to be traded with CC coin, not Solana, which I think is a big deal. Now, Solana will continue to be paired with CC coin, so there's still going to be some pairing to it, but CC coin increases the demand right there. If this works out, this is going to increase demand, and it's going to become a trading partner, which is going to be fabulous, right? But CCR also would end up pumping because it's paired with CCC. Supply starts vanishing faster than your X when the rent was due, and this is just project number one. Now, here's the thing. How many more are going to be launched? You know what I mean? Whatever happened with Keanu Eno, those devs scammed us all. No, they didn't. That's silly. And in depth. So for anybody who doesn't know about Keanu from 2021, 4 years ago, the simple answer was this. The devs got scammed by somebody, and that person went to Keanu Reeves and acted so erratic and ridiculous that Keanu Reeves sent a cease and desist order, which effectively killed that project. And they didn't sell, by the way. I did. I got my ass out. I sold like $1,500. Then I bought the dip, and it pumped back up 3x immediately, and I made $5,000 off of it. Like that. And that was not a lot, by the way, but it was enough to fund my way into Saitama and stuff like that, and make significantly more. So Butthole is ripping. It's up 20% on the day. Will it maintain? I don't think so. I don't know, but if Fartcoin is ripping, then it's only a matter of time before the Butthole starts to rip. So Butthole is currently up 25% on the day. It's at 8.57 million market cap. The previous top market cap on this was about 90 million, 80 million. So I would suspect that it's going to go to 100 to 200 if it gets, in fact, a good move going forward. So it could, from where it is right now, let's say 20x or something like that. I'd be satisfied to say that it had achieved its purpose if it were to get even back up to 100 million market cap. I mean, even up there, I would say, like, you know what, it's pretty much done what it needed to do. You know what I mean? But here's the reason that it matters when you, it's almost like, God damn it, guys, I just, when you look at the crypto bubbles, Fart coin, where is it? It's in the first page. It's a top 100 meme coin, and it's up ridiculously. Has an 889 million market cap. You know what I mean? Wild. Terrarium, we all have loose. He says that Terrarium, we all lost on Terrarium. I didn't. I made out like a bandit. I made out like a bandit on Terrarium, and I lost a lot of faith in the project and just kind of watched to see what would happen on it. And, they created an exchange that nobody was trading on. Nobody's doing anything on it. And then they continued to here's what was happening was Terrarium was sucking the liquidity out of the monthly in order to pay everybody's salary and stuff like that, So I did not get in on the pre-sale. I was not in the pre-sale. I bought when it launched. And what happened was what I did was I put 2,000 in, and it went up to like 40,000 when they announced that Binance listing, which was fake. what they announced that it went up to 40,000, I sold because it was about to beat some other cryptos that they were in competition with at the time, Saitama being the one, and it wanted to beat the market cap of Saitama, so it did for that. So I sold, and then I bought back in at a lower price with a lower amount. So I made $37,000 off of Terrarium. So, you know what I mean? That was transactional, so. And look, I'm not going to be the guy to hold something forever unless I believe in this project. Like, for example, DevvE, I'm going to hold, but at $50 or something like that, and maybe even before. Like, what I think is this: if this thing ran to $10 right now, if it ran to $10, I would take, 3 or 4,000 out. I would take $3,000 or $4,000 out of the market, or $30,000 or $40,000 out of the market at that point, just to make sure that I had some capital on side if I wanted to buy something else, or what I mean, something like that. But otherwise, and I will lose. By the way, I'm not saying that I'm just going to take wins and that I'm just going to scalp everybody's stuff. I'm not saying that. I'm actually saying that if I have faith in you, I'm going to hold. If I believe in what you're doing, I'm going to hold. And I've been holding CC tokens for a long time. I'm the number 2, I think, liquidity provider. That's something that I believe in. DevvE, something that I believe in. Now, when I got hacked, they sold off my DevvE at one point. I made it all back. I didn't make that. By the way, I don't have nearly as much as had happened before. You know what I mean? Hey, Believes, do you know whatever happened to Hobbs and Justin? They're still doing, Hobbs and Justin are still, they still do their stuff. They just do it on the stock market. Matter of fact, I talked to Hobbs personally. So, if you go right here, it's my futures journey right now, and Black Monday, this is this is what they're doing, and by the way, not a lot of engagement, not a lot of engagement, but Hobbs is doing, he's doing non-crypto related stuff, and you can see that right here. He's been doing it for a little while, and I don't know about Justin. I have no idea about Justin, but I know Hobbs been doing his thing. Matter of fact, might not even be doing it on YouTube. Might all be X at this point. So as far as I know, Trump not recovering at all. Ondo had the breakout. Arrow, I think, is going to have a little bit of a breakout pretty soon. H-bar again as well. Bonk is up 10% on the day. Let's get out of this. We're going to cover that. That's going to be it for the day there. Pump It is up for some reason. I have no idea what reason that is. Sato having a little recovery hiss. Everything just kind of moving in the positive. SWP. Didn't make it to where I said it was going to make it yet. Having a little bit of a correction. But, mini fibs, if you look at the mini fibs, and it probably makes perfect sense that this impulse move went back down to the 5.0, probably come back up into 9 or maybe even a penny. It's going to have to, you need some exit liquidity. You have to break out here. Otherwise, it's still in that range for a breakout. The markets, there's no reason for it to pump at this point. You know what I mean? Like there's no real reason for a massive pump on Saitama Wolfpack at this point, other than speculative, right? So what we would be looking for now at this point is going to be that speculative sort of thing. You know what I mean? What are my thoughts on Onyx Coin? So Onyx Coin is basically Ethereum, is JP Morgan's version of Ethereum. So it's less congested than Ethereum at this point. I think that they've done a decent job, and because it's part of a bank, it's going to be a bank blockchain, which I think is important. So I think that Onyx Coin probably, I don't like where it is right now. Like I wouldn't be a buyer at this point. I would look at it, maybe later on. Got a 735 million market cap. I don't see any reason for it to have a $70 billion market cap, and that's 100x away. I just don't see that reason at this point. But I do see maybe 7 billion or something like that. So it could be an easy 10x. And, it's already listed on Coinbase. So, I mean, we look at volume, Bitcoin Turkey, BitThumb, Gate.io, Kraken, so it's an American project. And I think that that's going to be very, very important because you don't have to pay taxes on it in America. Hobbs got scammed on. Look, we all got scammed on BTFA. Fucking Sway. Woo. And yeah. So for anybody who doesn't remember this right here, Clear Cryptos. Holy shit! What a game that was. I don't even know what it does at this point, or did. I don't even know if it's still around. I have no idea. But I know that they hired a couple of people, and I think they were paying these guys like $5,000 a month or something like that. They had like Zach Humphreys and Austin Hilton and Brad the Sandstorm, and they had Hobbs. They had all these people. They were coming out to events and shit like that. I don't know what they do. Like to this day, I have no idea what they do. But Sway, fucking Sway. Here's the simple example, or here's the simple thing for Hobbs. Hobbs got paid. We all got paid to do videos for BTFA. So, we all had a kind of a partnership where we got paid. So we all made some money. But as far as investment goes, Hobbs, I think Hobbs said he broke even, maybe made a little bit of profit because he had sold originally on like the original, like first pump. You know what I mean? So I think he was good, but then he lost almost everything because Sway didn't tell him what he was doing, and Sway just fucking ganked everybody. I mean, like Sway just pulled game on everybody. And then remember, Sway said it was because he couldn't take the pressure and he couldn't take the heat from people, dumping on him and stuff like that. By the way, byproduct of the market that we're in. So that could be the case, right? And I believe that, or believed that. And then it turns out Sway is my neighbor. So he reached out to me. We actually had dinner, went to, and then he started Metapolitans, which was a sophisticated scam right there. I mean, he basically had a demo made for about $5,000 to $7,000 to make it look like there was this game that he was making. And he had us all, and I mean, the people that were in the project that were developers with him woke up the next morning like, what the fuck? And he just said, hey man, I just decided I don't want to do this. I want to spend time with my family. And to be fair, he had just had a baby, because I had even gotten him, we'd even gotten him a present for the birth of his kid and everything like that. And he told me, by the way, he was like, when we launch, sell your tokens, I'll send you some more tokens a week later as payment to continue. I should have listened to him at that point. Now, I made money off of it. He gave me like $1,000 worth of tokens, which I sold for 1,700. So I made $700 off of it, but it was somewhere like 7,000. He was like, that's where and that was the idea, right? He was like, sell when it launches because there's gonna be a big pump, and then then we'll settle up a week later. And I was like, well, if that's the case, and if this actually is a good project, why would I do that? Why wouldn't I just hold on to it so that 7,000 becomes 70,000, like a moron? That's a couple years ago. I'm gonna hold out for that bigger and better deal. Well, that was stupid. So I made money, didn't make nearly as much. You know what I mean? Austin just dump on their base. Well, so yeah, there's a game that they run, by the way, just so everybody understands, the Zach Humphreys, Austin Hilton game. And no disrespect to them, but here's the truth. The truth is they get supply. They don't want, like me, I don't like getting supplies of coins because I then have to sell in order to pay my bills, and I look like the asshole, right? So I prefer to get paid in stable or the pair. So, for example, if you're on the Solana chain, I want Solana. If you're on the Ethereum chain, I want Ethereum. If you're, if you don't want to do that, then I just want USDC or USDT, whatever, stable coin me. On the Tron network, send me Tron. I have wallet addresses for all of that. So, But what they do is they want 1% of supply in order to present it to their community. 1% of supply on something with a million market cap is $10,000. If it has a 10 million market cap, that's 100, that's a, did I say that right? 10, it'd be $100,000. Yeah. So there is a possibility that they have just, they could make fantastic money. And by the way, just so you guys understand, Zach and Austin were partners with Your Pop, and they were doing this three-way game that they were running. Each was getting 1% of the supply. And during the last bull run, they were each making about $500,000 a month. So, if you look at it from that context, you know what I mean? Like, good game. It's a good game. If you can get on the field and you can play that game, that's a good game. I just prefer not to be that person. I just prefer not to be that way. And by the way, it doesn't matter because people still watch Austin. People still watch Zach. People still watch Your Pop. I guess they still make content. I have no idea, to be fair. But, these people, they do that. And that's, that's their thing. That's what they do. So it's just not for me. It's just, and probably to my discredit, I probably could have reaped, I think, for a long time. And by the way, just selling tops, I could have just done that too. That's not me. And by the way, just so that we're clear, guys, I know some of you guys have been with me for a long time. You follow me and we have communication. I feel like I know you, right? There are moments where, I really wish I would have taken some, and then sold when I got it instead of holding on to it and stuff like that. Like, for example, No One Will Know. No One Will Know gave me $1,250 worth of tokens. Or wait a minute, I'm sorry. They gave me $750 worth of tokens. It went up to $1,250 immediately, and I should have sold, but I didn't. So I ended up selling them for $400. And then I did another video for them just recently, and I got $400 because I said, I'll do it for $400 because I'll make, I love making promo videos, and I charge like $400, $500, maybe even up to $1,000 for a video. In this market right now, it's that low. It's like $400 as opposed to what I was making before. However, I like making them. You know what I mean? Like, if what I want, my ultimate goal, to be fair, like, just to be perfectly honest with you guys, would be just to make one meme coin video per day. You know what I mean? Like, that to me is not because of the money. I would do it for $200. You know what I mean? If I had one every day, I wouldn't, it's not really going to pay the bills and shit like that, but I love doing them. So, if I could get $200 a day for making one meme coin video, I'm good with that. You know what I mean? It's worth my time. You know what I mean? And probably shorts instead of long form content, stuff like that. Cause I've been leaning into shorts just recently. If you guys haven't noticed, you'll start to notice it soon. The XRP one comes out tomorrow, but I'm doing more and more short form content, and that would be fun. So we'll see what happens with that. But that's the way I like it. But if I had done this on some of these projects, then I would be just in, just amazing shit. If I would have sold, I'll put it this way. At one point, I had over 1 million. I had like 1.2 million SWP. And remember when I got in, it was $2,000 because it was 0.002 and it went up to 2 cents. That was a 10x. So, we're talking about, I had like 20 grand or 25 grand, something like that in Saitama at one point. Now it's down, I only have about half the bag that I had before because I got to pay bills. And it's at 0.008. So I'm still up 4x, if you will. I'm actually still up on my bag total from what I got initially. But, I don't want to sell anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I'm selling because I have to, because I got to pay bills. I don't want to sell. Like, I want to hold on to this forever, but gotta make a decision, right? So if you know anybody who's looking for partners and stuff like that to talk about every day, I do have a new partner coming that we'll be talking about, I think, on Monday. No guarantees. I don't know when the funds get sent over and stuff like that, but they reached out to me today and they wanted to renew and, continue on. And again, I've already told you guys that, there might be a time in the near future where I just stop making Luna Classic content because I need, I got to have a revenue stream. So, I can't just keep selling crypto. Like, that seems lame to me. So, make sure comment down below if there's any projects or anything like that, or use your name. Tell me Terra Casino. If you have a login for the casino, then put it in the description down below because I'm giving away $200. Is partner use of gay term for boyfriend? No, the gay term for boyfriend is a Maddie B. So we all need to have our own little Maddie B, our boyfriend. It's not financial advice.